J vaccine and the AstraZeneca vaccine have recruited already a few thousand subjects in their trials. I would like to take this opportunity to invite as many Americans as possible who would like to volunteer to participate in these clinical trials, as that's the only way we are able to achieve a demonstration of the safety and the efficacy of these vaccines. The last two vaccines, the recombinant protein vaccines, are planned to start their phase 3 trials within the next few weeks. And while we are developing this vaccine, we haven't only looked at the clinical development, of course, in partnership with the companies that are the sponsors for the vaccine. We also invested very significantly in the manufacturing of this vaccine in such a way as to, when we have the clinical efficacy demonstration with these vaccines, we would also have vaccine doses to be able to immunize the US population. So the two vaccines that are completing their phase 3 trial are likely to be filing their files with the FDA for a potential emergency use authorization within the next few weeks. And hopefully, if approved, they could be used for immunization in the US population in the month of December. And we plan to have enough vaccine doses available for use in the US population to immunize about 20 million individuals in the month of December, and another 25 to 30 million per month on an ongoing basis from there on. And as of the month of February or March, if we have more vaccines approved, such as the live vectored vaccine, we may be able to immunize a larger number of Americans on an ongoing basis per month. Operation Warp Speed didn't only focus on vaccines. We also looked at therapeutics, and we have worked with a number of companies developing monoclonal antibodies in particular that are able to neutralize the virus. As Mr. President said, we have announced partnerships with Eli Lilly, with Regeneron, and with AstraZeneca. And on Monday, Eli Lilly's monoclonal antibody was granted an emergency use authorization to treat patients that are infected and at risk of hospitalization. The Regeneron monoclonal antibodies have been also filed for emergency use authorization, which is currently under review and is potentially reaching approval within the next few weeks. And finally, AstraZeneca just in the last few days has received a green light to start two large phase 3 trials with their monoclonal antibodies supported by Operation Warp Speed to prevent the acquisition of COVID-19 disease in very frail subjects or in very high-risk subjects as a protective alternative to a vaccine. So, potentially two vaccines and two therapeutics may be granted an emergency use authorization before the end of this year. I think it's a remarkable achievement within a period of 6 to 7 months. It is important to note that this progress has been achieved without any political interference. I said it many times. And at every step has been and is being judged by independent expert bodies, whether it's when the FDA grants the green light to go into clinical trials, or whether when the data safety monitoring boards review the safety of the studies on an ongoing basis and sometimes put them on hold, as I'm sure you have witnessed with the AstraZeneca vaccine, for instance. And these same data safety monitoring boards are the independent boards of experts that analyze the efficacy of the vaccines and the safety of the vaccines and tell the companies whether they should progress with the filing of an emergency use authorization or not. So it's not the companies, it's not Operation Warp Speed, it's not the US government, it is independent experts that assess the safety and the efficacy of the vaccines that are being tested. And when the FDA will review these vaccines and these therapeutics, they will also have the advice, public advice, from boards. One of them is called the VRPAC, that is the advisory board to the FDA for vaccine reviews, after review of the data transparently and available to everybody to look into before the FDA then make its decision to either authorize a vaccine or not authorize it. On that basis, I personally feel very comfortable to say that the vaccines and the therapeutics that we have helped develop and accelerate will be judged independently, and if approved, should be used by all in the population. Because I believe vaccination is likely to be the cornerstone among all the other measures that we have to take to help us really control this pandemic. I will now pass to my co-leader, General Perna, who will tell you more about the support that the operation has provided to manufacturing of the vaccine and also to their distribution. Thank you very much. I will now pass to my co-leader, General Perna, who will tell you more about the support that the operation has.
Mr. President, thank you for allowing me to continue service of our great nation as the co-leader with Dr. Moncef Slaoui on this mission. Let me start by emphasizing for me what is Operational Warp Speed about. It is about saving lives. And it is a Herculean task that the President put us on many months ago. And as Dr. Slaoui just laid out, we are making steady progress and we are ready to execute. Through the whole of American approach, we have leveraged the best of nation in federal government, local, states, industry, and academia to expand the capacity and capability to achieve our mission. It has been powerful. We have capitalized on the best contracting, logistics, and planning experts available to synchronize and integrate all phases of the operation, from development of the vaccine, manufacturing of the vaccine, and finally distribution of the vaccine. 6 months ago, the capacity did not exist in our nation's pharmaceutical production base. We went to work building brick and mortar manufacturing facilities, bringing in the right specialized machinery and equipment, and prioritizing supply chain materials through the Defense Production Act. Today, we expect to have tens of millions of doses immediately following EUA, and we will distribute them as soon as the FDA applies the EUA. We will do that within 24 hours of the EUA. We are harnessing the strength of commercial industry and the existing vaccine delivery capabilities and infrastructure. Our nation deserves this. Vaccines will be allocated pro rata by population so that we ensure fair and equitable across. We need the states who are part of the planning to accept the vaccine. We are working closely along with the CDC, the 64 jurisdictions and states to ensure vaccine can safely and quickly get to those who need it first. And then we have plans to ensure that it spreads exponentially across our country and that no place is left without a vaccine. At the end of the day, our success is going to be judged by the availability of the vaccine as shots go in arms. It is the partnerships we have formed with the pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and Moderna, distribution companies like McKesson, FedEx, and UPS, and pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens that have agreed to do things differently, to think, how can we get this to the American people in the most rapid and expeditious way? We will be successful because of this all-of-America approach, this collaboration, this effort that everybody is leading towards. I will end where I started. This is about saving lives, the lives of the great American people. And we will not rest until we are successful and that we have irreversible momentum to returning our nation back to normal. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, General.
We will not rest until we are successful.
Alex, please.
And that we have irreversible momentum to returning our nation back to normal.
Thank you, Mr. President, for providing the leadership that's gotten us where we are today. The success that Operation Warp Speed has realized so far has been made possible only because of the bold vision you announced not even 6 months ago, right here in the Rose Garden. to highlight three of the remarkable accomplishments we've seen just this week. First, Pfizer announced very promising data on its vaccine candidate. Second, the FDA authorized and we have begun to distribute and administer Eli Lilly's monoclonal antibody to help Americans at risk for serious disease stay out of the hospital. Third, another vaccine company, Moderna, announced that it's reached a critical clinical trial milestone, meaning we may see data from them within days. Back in the spring, we were told by all of the experts that a vaccine was a year or a year and a half away, and the announcements I just highlighted would have been unthinkable. The President said that's not acceptable, and thanks to the support he's provided, we're now on track to deliver a safe and effective vaccine to our most vulnerable this year. As I worked with the President to assemble this team and organize this effort, his support was indispensable at each step of the way. We went out and found the very best people on the planet to do the job, who you just talked with. Dr. Slaoui, the world's most successful vaccine developer. General Perna, one of the world's most qualified logistics leaders. When I first talked to Dr. Slaoui and General Perna about our goals and recruited them to this effort, we dreamed of being at the point we're at today, on track to achieve the incredibly ambitious goal we set together. The President gave us the full financial support we needed, enabling us to invest more than $10 billion to de-risk vaccine companies' development efforts and manufacture product in advance. Our completely unprecedented partnership with the Defense Department has given us a comprehensive public-private plan for distribution and helped each Operation Warp Speed vaccine maker secure what they needed for manufacturing, including Pfizer's ongoing production this week. Operation Warp Speed has always had one goal: saving lives. The President has given OWS the independence it needs to achieve that goal and ensure that we're following the procedures that Americans expect for any medical product they take. At every step, ensuring patient safety has been our top priority. This process has been driven solely by science and data. So it's a shame that some, one example being the governor of New York, have actually injected politics into the process and suggested the possibility of intentionally delaying access to an FDA-authorized vaccine, which is simply unconscionable. Because the President has delivered the full funding we need, the best people on the planet, and real independence for this project, Operation Warp Speed is doing something that's never been done before in history. This success means there is light at the end of the tunnel. Right now is not the time to let our guard down. We continue to encourage Americans to follow the 3 W's. Wash your hands, watch your distance, wear a mask when you can't watch your distance, and avoid settings where you can't do those things. Because of the incredible American spirit, because of what great scientists and public servants and innovators have done through Operation Warp Speed, we have such a bright future ahead of us. If we continue to protect ourselves, our families, and our communities, then I firmly believe that future will be here very soon. Thank you, Mr. President, for making that very bright future possible for the American people. Our families, and our communities, then I firmly believe that future will be
Mike Pence,
very
please.
soon. Thank you, Mr. President, for making that very bright future possible for the American people.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and on behalf of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, I was grateful to just have a few minutes today to commend the team of Operation Warp Speed. It was your vision that we could harness the ingenuity and the creativity of America's greatest pharmaceutical and research companies to speed in record time a vaccine that would save American lives. You told the American people that we would have a vaccine before the end of the year, and some scoffed at that timetable. But I can tell you the team on Operation Warp Speed didn't. These great research companies didn't. And as you've articulated here, Mr. President, the American people can be comforted with all the news this week that help is on the way. That literally pending FDA approval of the Pfizer vaccine and perhaps very soon another vaccine that will be submitted by Moderna and even other companies that before the year is out, we'll be able to administer a vaccine to tens of millions of Americans, as you've said, Mr. President, beginning with those most vulnerable, beginning with our seniors all across this country, beginning with our healthcare workers and first responders at the point of the need. It is an unprecedented medical mobilization, the greatest in the history of our country, and I join you in commending this team. Let me also say, Mr. President, that the White House Coronavirus Task Force will be meeting with our nation's governors in our regular conference call this Monday. We'll be reviewing with them the progress on the development of a vaccine, our plans for distribution, but we'll also be reviewing each and every state's specific plans for distributing the vaccine. Continue to urge governors to have those plans developed and prepared and ready for immediate implementation. And finally, Mr. President, as we see cases rising around the country, as we see hospitalizations rising around the country, I want to encourage the American people with the news that as we have done from the very beginning, we're going to continue to move heaven and earth to make sure that your family has access to the level of health care that we'd want any one of our members of our family to have. I spoke to FEMA today, and as we heard reported at our last task force meeting, Mr. President, we're receiving requests from states for PPE, for personnel, but we're meeting all of those requests. And according to our team on the ground, we continue to believe that we'll be able to meet the requests for PPE and equipment, both from the Strategic National Stockpile, also from the commercial market, to make sure that those needs are all met. And the American people can also be confident because of the system that you established that since this past July, we're actually able to track PPE, gowns and gloves and N95 masks on a hospital-by-hospital basis. So we can continue to deliver, as you said, Mr. President, on that extraordinary record in America where no American who's ever required a ventilator has ever been denied a ventilator. No American who's ever required an ICU bed has ever been denied an ICU bed. So the good news today through Operation Warp Speed, Mr. President, is help is on the way. It's on the way right around the corner. As one of the members of our task force said recently, the cavalry is coming. But we want to encourage every American that we're going to continue to make sure that our healthcare system has the resources to support the equipment and supplies that they need. And we also, Mr. President, as we see cases rising, particularly in the heartland of this country, but in communities all across America, we encourage every American, as the Secretary did and as you have, continue to practice good hygiene, wash your hands, practice social distancing, wear a mask when that's not possible. We all have a role to play. We all know what to do to protect the vulnerable, to look after our families and our neighbors and friends, and we encourage every American, with all the good news this week, to continue to be persistent in putting the health of yourself, your family, your neighbors, co-workers, and friends first. And we'll get through this, and we'll get through this together. Thank you, Mr. President.
And thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Co-workers and friends first. And we'll get through this.
When you said you lost the election, sir.
Well, we're back to the book of Revelation. We're studying the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the book of Revelation, the four horsemen of the apocalypse correspond with the first died. If you were Abraham or Moses or whoever, when you died, your soul was separated from your body and your soul went to Hades. Does that make sense? But Hades was divided into two distinct places, and there was a chasm between the two. Jesus gives us a little bit of insight when he tells the parable of Lazarus and the rich man. So look with me, if you would, in the book of Luke, the 16th chapter. I want to read verses 19 through 26. Notice what it says. Now there was a certain rich man, and he habitually dressed in purple and fine linen, gaily living in splendor every day. And a certain poor man named Lazarus was laid at his gate, covered with sores, and longing to be fed with the crumbs which were falling from the rich man's table. Besides, even the dogs were coming and licking his sores. Now it came about that the poor man died, and he was carried away by the angels to Abraham's bosom. Now we're going to find out where this is located in just a second, so hang on. His soul was carried away to a place called Abraham's bosom. And the rich man also died and was buried, and in Hades he lifted up his eyes, being in torment, and saw Abraham far away and Lazarus in his bosom. So I want you to notice, you had this dead person who was the rich man. He went to a place in hell, and he could actually see Abraham, and he could see Lazarus. Now let's go a little bit further. And this rich man cried out and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool off my tongue. For I am in agony in this flame. But Abraham said, Child, remember that during your life you received your good things, and likewise Lazarus bad things. But now he is being comforted here, and you are in agony. And besides all of this, now notice this, between us and you, there is a great chasm fixed in order that those who wish to come over from here to you may not be able, and that none may cross over from there to us. Now, I want you to notice, as I've already stated, that there is a chasm, or there was a chasm, between the bosom of Abraham and Hades, also known as the place of torment. Now, what is a chasm? A chasm is a deep, steep-sided opening in the earth's surface that keeps you from going from one side to the other. It's like a drop-off that you can't cross over, and there's no way around. Sometimes we'll be watching a movie, and it'll show someone that's running, and all of a sudden they come to the edge of a cliff, and they almost fall off, and you look down. And I mean, it's just straight down, and there's no way around it. And it's too far to jump, and you can't throw a rope over there. That's a chasm. So before the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, everyone's soul went to Hades when they died. Those who believed in God and were looking for the Messiah went to the bosom of Abraham. It was located on one side of Hades. It was a place of comfort. It was a place to be refreshed. It was not a bad place, but it wasn't heaven. Those who didn't believe in God, or weren't looking for the Messiah, or weren't obeying His word, they went to hell, which was on the other side of Hades, and there was a chasm between the two. Now, when Christ died, what happened to Him? Did His soul separate from His body also? Yes. His body spent 3 days in the tomb. So when Jesus died, His soul separated from His body just like anyone else. And His soul did not go to heaven. Where did His soul go? Because He was spiritually dead, it tells us that He first descended. Why does it say He descended? Because Hades was supposedly in the center of the earth. Heaven was up, hell was down. So Jesus went to Hades. Now, did He go to the bosom of Abraham, or did He go to that place of torment? Well, the Bible teaches, I believe, that He went to that place of torment. And everything that we deserved to have done to us because of our sin, He paid the price. So after all of our sins were paid for, guess what? He didn't just resurrect and go to heaven. Jesus had a mission. Jesus had a job. So when He was in that place of torment and He paid for all of our sins, God looked down and He saw a soul that had never sinned. It's what Michael was talking about when he was leading our worship. Jesus lived for us a blameless life. Now, because God is just, He must do two things. I'll be preaching on this when Easter comes around. Justice means that you punish sin and you reward righteousness. You are not just if you punish righteousness and you reward sin. Would you agree with that? So because God is just, He must punish sin and He must reward righteousness. Now, all of us have sinned, which means that we all deserve to be punished. But Jesus came to die for our sin, to bear our punishment. And when God looked down and He saw Jesus bearing our sin and being punished, when all of our sin was paid for, God saw also that it never sinned. So being just, God wants to do what? Reward righteousness. And according to the law says, the man which doeth those things in the law shall live by them. So God was able to legally raise Jesus from the dead because he had never sinned. And the law states that the man who lives by the law, or who keeps the law, will live by the law. So God was able to legally raise him from the dead. But what did Jesus do? On the side of the place of torment, he becomes spiritually alive, and the Scripture tells us that he begins to preach to those in the bosom of Abraham. Did you know that? Why did he preach to those in the bosom of Abraham? Because you can't go to heaven unless you believe in Jesus. Being good does not get you to heaven. Keeping the law does not get you to heaven. Going to church does not get you to heaven. All of those things might be good things, but you can never be good enough to go to heaven. The only way that you can get to heaven is what? Believing in Jesus Christ. So these people had died believing in God, serving God, but looking for the Messiah. So when the Messiah finally comes, they're able to look over this chasm, look into that place of torment from the bosom of Abraham, and they see Jesus there, and he's bearing our punishment. But when all that sin is paid for, they see him become spiritually alive. Jesus now begins to preach to those in the bosom of Abraham, because you cannot go to heaven without believing in Jesus. And how can they believe unless they hear, is what Paul wrote. So guess what? Jesus begins to preach to those who are in captivity. Turn with me, if you would, to 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 18 through 19. Christ suffered for our sins once for all time. He never sinned.
I get on, try to get on. I don't even do IG. Oh man. One of my daughters had to show me how to even get on IG. I was like, this is new to me. I'm like, wow. See, we're having trouble starting your video. Why? Hold on 1 second. Let me go to my. Aha, that may be the problem. If anybody has AT&T for internet service, yeah, no. Garbage, as I'm saying that in French. AT&T is garbage, man. Garbage. Yeah. I don't know who them other people are, but I'm going to have a conversation with them tomorrow morning. I'll be like, yeah, them people down the street, no. All right, so if you manage to order it online or whatever, or you buy it from a bookstore, Sabia Bay, what's good? Sugar Gene, what's happening? All right. If you get the book, it has the insert. These are all of the names, not all of the names, but the names that back in the 80s and 90s that was part of the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, and the Council on Foreign Relations, as told by our good brother, William Cooper, in this book, Behold the Pale Horse. And as I said, I have some special kind of information to give, all right, tonight. So hopefully everybody's paying attention. I'm waiting to get on. Your connection isn't strong enough. These people killing me. Hold on for a second. All right, you're now live. All right. Got my book right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a book review, and then I'm going to start in the middle, go back, and then I'm going to finish it out. So the thing I wanted to not surprise everyone with, but to lay on everyone. Now, the people that donated yesterday, I hope you got that jam-packed filled email I sent out today. 16 is going to put up exactly what was sent out, and it was a this is a updated version. I ran across the Global Report 2000, so I extracted data mining, and it's going into how they're collecting information, and every one of us are in there. So to the people that act dragging us to Mount Sinai Baptist Church with Reverend Mackey, this has nothing to do with that. This has nothing to do with our beliefs. All right, these are actual facts and what these people are actually putting in place. So we can, everybody, I want y'all to hold on to your own belief. I don't do this every night to convince people to change their belief. I want you to eat better, do better, think better, and most of all, survive. I'm saying to you that these people behind the scenes have created the Federation of Earth outside of the Constitution of the United States of America, and they lay it out. And these are the people that laid it out and support it. You're not included. What are the 13 to 20 languages that they put on the Georgia Guidestones? Sure, I'm still having this conversation with you because I'm sure Ish haven't taken you to the Georgia Guidestones, has she? Can someone put up here on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, what are the Georgia Guidestones? Matter of fact, look it up real quick while I take a sip of this. The Georgia Guidestones. Mysteriously erected, these gigantic stones that they put up. North Georgia. Oh, it depends on where you at, north or south. Milledgeville, Georgia. All right. This is their commandments. These are large, gigantic stones, and they're different dialects that we speak. All right. So keep the population under 500 million. All right. And it talks about other commandments, but the main commandment is to keep the human population under 500 million. All right. Reduce the population to 500 million. And they talk about this openly, 100 million. And they talk about this openly on stones. All right. And they etched this in to the Georgia Guidestones, they call them. I'm not sure how tall the stones are, but if you on computer right now, you can Google it. All right. There's about 7.8 billion people in the world right now. If you're going to keep the population under 500 million, how many people do they have to kill? And then the question is, how are you going to kill them? Who are you going to kill? A message consisting of a set of 10 guidestones and principles is engraved on the Georgia Guidestones, 8 in different languages, 1 language each, face and 4 large upright stones. The Georgia Guidestones. All right. Marcus just said big ass stones. Okay, thanks, Marcus. Really appreciate that. All right. Let me finish this. So on here, it talks about the world judiciary. All right. And it talks about the world judges, 8 major benches, World Supreme Court, Supreme Tribunal, World Executive Cabinet, 20 to 30 members from members of the parliament. The enforcement system, attorney general offices, 20 regional world attorneys, world police. They might as well list thought police also, because this kind of conversation that we're having right now will get you jailed. 1, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. All right. Supremacy West 3RN. Thank you very much. All right. Somebody on IG is just laying them out. All right. Behold, the pale horse is a tricky thing, is the prison system. I don't know what that means. All right. Elberton. Thanks, sure. All right. Let me finish here. Agency for Technology and Environmental Assessment, World Financial Administration. Then I have to turn the book up this way. Some of the things they're going to deal with to put in place to make sure these things are in place are genetics, the arts, education, health and nutrition, communication and information, transportation and travel, water supplies and waterways, multinational corporations, commerce and industry, labor and income, food and agriculture, population disarmament, and war prevention, economic and social development, habitat and supplement, human rights, distributive justice, environmental ecology, democratic procedures, world resources, ocean and seabeds, world service corporations, world territories, capital and parks, atmosphere and space, energy, exterior relations, science and technology, and revenue. Supremacy West, I can't even keep up. Unite humanity with a living new language. What is the new language? I missed number 2, supremacy. A new language. Rule, passion, faith, tradition, and the things with tempered reason. Protect people, the nations with fair laws and courts. All right? Hold on. Let all nations rule internally, resolving internal disputes in a world court. These are the things that are on the Georgia Guidestones. All right? Let all nations rule internally, resolving internal disputes in a world court. All right? Avoid petty laws on useless officials. Okay. Who made the laws on the stones? Marcus, we're getting to that. You're kind of late, Marcus. These people right here that want to put in the Federation of Earth and they want to abolish the Constitution. All right? Same mindset, same people. All right, let's do a little bit of research on our own. All right? 8, balance personal rights with social duties. I'm missing number 7. Somebody give me number 7. Nine, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with infinite nature. 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials, balance personal rights and social duties. 9, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with infinite. All right, that's the Georgia Guidestones. 10, be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. The Georgia Guidestones. That could have been a show in and of itself. The Georgia Guidestones. All right. This is too much to read. It really is. The Constitution for the Federation of Earth, and it goes into Article 1, broad functions of the world government. So everything here, it just breaks it down in the book. But if this doesn't shock you or surprise you, it's like they already have a Federation of Earth that they're going to put into practice. And I'm trying to find a date on this. I've had this for so long, I don't even remember where I got this from. First issued in 1977. So they've been doing this for a long time. Some people are on here don't care about this subject. They're like, what does that got to do with me? I'm trying to save up enough nickels and dimes to get a quarter pounder with cheese and watch the game, watch the boxing match or whatever, or go to the goddamn screw club. Well, I can't do nothing for you. Everybody ain't gonna make it. You understand what I'm saying? They just not. There's really nothing I could do about that particular situation. All right? Jennifer Page said, that's the year I was born. So those of us that get pulled over by the police and we crying, I have rights. All right, what about the Constitution? What about this, that, and the other? It's like, These people are slowly doing away with that, all right? And I keep telling black people, how the hell are you going to have rights and they don't even consider you a citizen of the United States of America? You're cannon fodder, all right? So let me skip around in this particular document right here to give you a deeper insight. This page right here, page 47, it talks about the establishment of the following preparatory commissions. A commission to ratification commission, World Elections Commission, World Development Commission, World Disarmament Commission, World Problems Commission, World Nominating Commission, the Finance Commission, Peace Research and Education Commission, Special Commissions on the Earth of several. And now listen, this is already going to be in place, all right, when China moves into Africa, all right, when Russia continues to move into Afghanistan, when I should have showed y'all that book by Zbigniew Brzezinski. My bad. The Grand Chess Game. All right. When other countries and other people are allowed to come in and set up the rule of law on the African continent. Black people in America that want to get repatriated back to Africa or even have dual citizenship will not be allowed to. All right. So much for Ancestry.com. So much for you tracking your damn roots and trying to get back to your own people in your own country. Other people are going to be there preventing it. All right. Janice Meeks, thank you very much. Really appreciate that, sis. All right. So this is the Constitution for the Federation of Earth. All right. The Constitution as we know it, going to be out of here. Special commission on each several of the most urgent world problems. Such other commissions as may be deemed desirable in order to proceed with the provisional world government. All right. This is the Federation Earth, not being circulated worldwide for ratification by the nations and the people of the earth. They're circulating it worldwide back in 1977. By a show of hands, how many people got this in the mail? By a show of hands, how many people went to goddamn... Let me stop. I'm going to be nice today. How many people went to church and Reverend Fatback and Pig Feet, Reverend Ham Hock presented this and told everybody that, yeah, and schooled everybody to this at church? Nope. How about the mosque? Nobody. Nope. Show of hands, never. Nope. Nope. How about at the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts? Nobody. Help me out, y'all. I'm just, yeah. Y'all got to help me out, man. Wherever y'all at the club, y'all didn't get this at the club. Where else do we meet up at? Where else? Come on, help me out, man. I'm asking. I just want to know. Where do we hang out, congregate, get together where somebody would have said, wait a minute, brothers and sisters, hold on, black people. Something is going down in 1977, and I need to school you. Now, listen, I was 17. All right? But help me out, man. Where is it that we show me the cover? Where is it that Leimert Park? No, the barbershop? The Marcus Garvey School? Where? The ice skating ring? AJ's ring? I don't know. Where? Mr. Norman, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Give thanks, man, for contribution, bro. The library? Hell no, you wasn't getting this from the library. All right. Miss Sekhmet, nah, you wasn't getting this from the library. Somebody said I wasn't even born yet. Oh, okay. Got you. I'm just saying there's documents out there that I'm going to show you every now and then that's already been out there for years. This is 2019. Can you imagine me trying to track down an updated version of this? Imagine what it would say. So So something is going on behind the scenes, and we're worrying about what happened on a reality show? Come, man, no. No, listen, we already know that they operate 10 to 15 years ahead. All right. We gotta press the pause button every now and then and say, now wait a minute. All right. Now wait a minute. We have to at least stop and listen to those of us that are on the front lines presenting this information. All right. T Killer said they got a 100-year plan. And when one of them die, they pass it on to their bloodline. All right. So let's understand this particular dynamic. That can be interrupted, as Bill Cooper mentioned in this book. All right. We need you down, found the big brothers. I got you, Bonnie Lewis. All right. So it would take me the rest of the time that we have on this broadcast for me to go over this, and it's too intricate, as y'all can see, too intricate for me to go over. Plus, I think we need to spend that time. We need to put a committee together, a very loose kind of committee, to track down the new version of this. Me and 16 already on it. So if somebody else want to join on to help us track down the new version of the Constitution for the Federation of Earth, please let me know. All right. Now, Agenda 21. All right. Now this looks fairly new. Jazzy cover, laminated in the whole bit. Hold on. Hold up. I'm looking for a date on this one. There is no date. There is a date. Copyright 1993. So you young millennials that are on here, you can get a hold of this. And this is a good place for you to start. All right. The Majestic 13. What's the Majestic 13? Pierre, talk to me. NSO, National Security Agency, CIA, and the NSO. What is the NSO? All right. Celeb Jackson said, I was born in 1995. It ain't too late. Global 2000. All right. The other one was Global Report 2000. This is the revisited version. What shall we do? The critical issues of the 21st century. All right. Let me just read what's in the table of contents. All right. An overview, principal findings, the choice ahead, questions for our spiritual leaders. The next section is our numbers and basic needs, our food and land, agricultural yields, genetic resources, our energy, our environment. Sounds familiar. Doesn't it sound familiar? And the Global Report 2000 said they had to get rid of X amount of people on the planet. And that number was in the billions. All right, the Global Report 2000. Zbigniew Brzezinski, who was Jimmy Carter's national security advisor. Look his name. Can somebody put his name up so I can see it? Zbigniew Brzezinski, the grand chess game. Zbigniew Brzezinski. Our energy, our environment. 13 individuals from the military, executive branches and countries, and galactic interplanetary protocol. Majestic 13. Okay. Pierre Elliott, send that to me. Text it, man. 678-557-2919. All right. I'm looking for Zbigniew Brzezinski. Game over for government. Brzezinski, he was a member of the Council on Foreign Relations and the Atlantic Council for the Globalists, who said that they would just kill everybody. Yeah, you're right. Agenda 21 is a blueprint for the New World Order. That is the update. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. All right. So the Global Report, Agenda 21, Global Report 2000, revisited. What was it? Our poverty, violence, hatred, and despair. All right. The real problem, the task ahead, the role of the faith traditions, new revelations. What shall we do? Changing the course. I'm still looking for Zbigniew Brzezinski. Zbigniew Brzezinski. What was the name of his book? J. Archibald, thank you very much, good brother. Pepper, thank you very much. Brzezinski. What was the name of his book? Thanks, Pepper. It ain't revolution no more, it's survival, the purge. Revolution is complete, constructive, conscious, cosmic change. Thank you, Kingfish. Zbigniew Brzezinski. I'm still looking for the name of his book. Hold up. It'll be difficult to provide 11 to 12 billion people with even such a basic necessities as food. So basically already from the rip, they talking to Zbigniew Brzezinski. Was a Polish-American diplomat and political scientist. What was the name of his book? I want the name of his book, all right? And you'll see why Osama bin Laden was manufactured. You'll see why Afghanistan was on fire. The Grand Chessboard. Robert, thank you very much, Robert. The Grand Chessboard, Zbigniew Brzezinski. Thank you, Amin Freeman. Thank you. Global politics. All right, thanks, Jennifer Page. The Grand Chessboard. Global politics. All right. If you don't come out of the thinking that we have right now and start thinking locally and globally, you'll never run across this information. He wrote a book called Strategic Vision too. Yes, we didn't even get to that one. You a step ahead of us. All right. Need a strategic sense of urgency, logic, and logistics. All right. It will be difficult to provide 11 to 12 billion people with even such basic necessities as food. Of the 14 billion, I don't even know this word. Somebody help me out. Hectares, Hectares, hectares of land on Earth. Only 3.3 billion hectares are potentially arable. What is arable? They're speaking some language. They're not talking to us. Because with this thick African tongue, it's hard to even pronounce some of these words. You have a thesaurus and a dictionary sitting next to you. This word is, hold on.